A very good evening and thank you for joining us. We're coming to you from the Kampala Serena Conference Center, Nile Room. My guest tonight is called Linda Tusime, and I'll just tell you a bit about her before we actually start to interact with her. Linda is a 31-year-old lady who found her otherwise normal life was turned upside down in April 2017 when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She's the fourth born of 4 siblings, 2 sisters and 2 brothers. Her family had just recovered from the loss of their father, so this news was a little difficult for them. Now, originally, she was distraught and thought her life was over, but reading about the disease and hearing stories about people who had survived gave her strength to go on. So she put on a brave face and faced the monster. Linda has worked with Total E&P Uganda for the last 7 years and is currently a joint ventures administrator. Her workplace and colleagues were and still are a great source of support during her ordeal. Linda, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And your sister Chirabo, Fiona, is here joining us as well. Thank you, Fiona, for coming.
Thank you.
All right, let's begin and let's say it as it is.
I'm in tears. I'm thinking of the things I've lost. My hope, something past. I'm afraid of my shadow. For you are here. The ray of sun I thought I'd never see.
So I'm glad to have you here with us, Linda. Thank you for agreeing to come and share your story with us.
You're welcome.
You don't know what to say to that?
No.
So we played a clip of your song. Did you know she could sing?
No, I didn't.
You didn't know she could sing?
No, I didn't.
Until now?
I knew she could shriek.
Oh.
But yes, she did introduce her talent to us very recently.
Very supportive.
Your family is very supportive. Actually, our audience is filled with family and friends of Linda. Thank you all so much for coming to support her. So what does this song mean for you?
Initially, I wrote the song when I was going through chemo, and I was just writing what I was feeling, and then I decided to record it because I'd always wanted to record a song, but I never had the courage to do it.
So you knew you could sing?
Yes, I did, contrary to popular belief.
To your family's beliefs. All right, so let's start from the beginning. What are the signs that led you to think that, you know what, something is not right?
I'd been having a lump in my right breast, the lower part of my right breast. It was very smooth. It felt like a marble. You know, they usually say if you're checking yourself, you have to lie down in a particular posture. You need to put your arms up. But I could feel this in whichever position I was in. So I'm not very serious about my health. So I had it for a while.
Even now?
You were not. No, now things are different.
Okay.
But I had it for about 6 months, and I would feel it every day and business as usual. I'm like, okay, it's nothing serious.
What did you think it was?
I just thought it was a normal lump because I have friends who've had them before and they got them out and it's all good. So it didn't really register that it could be something very serious. So one day I just decided to go and get it checked out, and I spoke to a doctor who recommended having it removed. It was a day operation. I was awake.
I'm going to take you back.
Yes.
The doctor just said he didn't say what it was. He didn't.
What he did is we did ultrasounds, and I first spoke to a GP. We did the ultrasounds. Then she recommended me to see a surgeon straight away. And the surgeon was pro, let's get it out. because it seems to be a common thing in Uganda to just get out lumps and
A quick fix.
Yeah,
It's like a quick fix.
it's because especially if they look at your age and they see you're relatively healthy, they don't really think it's something life-threatening. So when I met with him, he actually seemed very laissez-faire about it. He's like, nah, you know, it's just a lump, so we can just come in one day, just cut you, give you just anesthesia in the area, just remove it, you go back home, so good. So I didn't think it was serious. So I actually even decided to go for the operation over the Easter break in 2017 because I didn't want to disrupt my work schedule. So Good Friday, I went to the hospital. It took longer than I thought because it was very slippery and he would have to keep prodding and trying to get it out, and then it slides in another direction, and then so it took about 2 hours. But when he finally got it out, he just told me they would have to test it, and he even said the testing was just a formality. So he said, yeah, so we're going to just test it, take it to the lab for tests, and I don't think it's anything serious, but you can come back in 2 weeks for your results.
So you went back in 2 weeks?
Yes.
At this point, did you speak to family? Did Fiona, did she come and tell you guys anything?
She did inform us that she was going to do a light procedure. Yeah. She colorfully gave us the impression it was something very minor, simple. She told us it's done every day, and I'm just removing a small lump, she called it.
Because that's what I was led to believe. That
We all were very ignorant about what she was doing, to be honest. Maybe on our parts we should have asked a few more questions, but because of her lightheartedly the way she took it, the way she presented it to us, we thought, oh, okay. So even when she went to the hospital, she only went with, I think, a friend and a sister, one of our sisters. Okay. It wasn't serious. I mean, like she said, she has friends who've had these. We all have friends who've had lumps and have taken them out.
When somebody says lump to me, I think cancer.
You scream.
And my head I just think of how is it that you didn't?
I think we are very positive people.
Okay,
we
must be a really negative.
we took it quite well. We thought, and she told us it was an hour.
She carried herself.
Possibly.
Okay,
possibly.
so 2 weeks later you go back.
Yes, so I went back to get the results. It was a Friday evening. I actually even had plans that evening with a friend of mine. And I had told her, you know, I just need to pop by the hospital, pick up some results, and then I'll find you there. So I get there, and the results were with the lab technician. So she prints them out and gives them to me. And then she tells me, you need to see a doctor to help you interpret these results. So I was like, if they're not that serious, why bother? So I get them, and I'm trying to look for something that says not serious, or, you know,
minor,
positive, negative.
And I'm not seeing it. So I asked if there was a doctor on call that evening, and by chance, the doctor who was on duty was actually an oncologist. So I go to see him, and I'm like, you know, I just got these results and I'm having trouble interpreting them, so if you could help me. So he gets them and he's like, Linda, this is very serious. So what this means is you have cancer.
Just like that.
Just like that. And even when he said that, I was like, okay, maybe it's another type of cancer. It's a less serious type. And I'm like, what do you mean cancer? How would I have cancer? It's like, yeah. So it's actually breast cancer on your right breast. So what we are going to do straight away, no bedside manner, okay, this was in his office, but straight away, he's like, so what we're going to do is I would recommend you have a full mastectomy.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
And then
Full meaning they're going to cut the
cut
full
the
breast.
entire
Both.
breast.
Okay.
Both, actually. At some point, he said both.
No, he actually said full mastectomy on one, but then he didn't say it would be necessary on the other, so he said just full mastectomy on the right breast, and then maybe 6 or 8 rounds of chemotherapy. Then you'd have to do some radiotherapy. Yeah, that's what I would recommend.
What are you thinking at this point?
I was in shock.
I think you're still stuck at cancer. While it's going on, you're stuck. You're thinking cancer.
I'm going back to, okay, so you said I have cancer, you sure? So I get them, and then he didn't seem, I don't know if it was because it was late at night and he was tired. He didn't seem to understand that he had just broken serious news to me. So he gives me back the results and tells me, yeah, so if you want, you can get a second opinion, but with what I'm reading, that is what you need.
I don't really want to ask which hospital this was, but this was here in Uganda.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so what happens after that? You left and
You
were going out somewhere.
I was supposed to be going out somewhere. I just went outside. I broke down, and then my friend Carol was calling me because she had been waiting, and she could sense when I picked the phone that something was wrong. But she still said, you know what, come and find me here. So at that point, all I wanted to do was go home and cry to my mother. But the advantage is where she was close to the hospital. So I'm like, okay, you know what, let me just go there briefly, let her know what's happening, and then go home. So I get there, and I explained what had happened, and she tried to calm me down because all I was thinking about was the mastectomy. And it's funny because I wasn't even thinking it's cancer. All I was thinking of,
I'm going to lose
my breast. So it's the only thing I was saying that night. I'm going to lose my breast. So she, it's actually a good thing I went and sat with her because she recommended I call Fiona first before we do anything. And I called Fiona. I think she was out that night as well.
Yes. It was a busy night.
You're happening, people. It's okay.
So I called. I don't know actually if I ruined your night that night, but she seemed very, very calm.
What did you say?
I told her I got the results and the doctor is telling me I have cancer. So for me, it wasn't I have cancer. It's like this man is telling me I have cancer. Who does he think he is? So Fiona was...
Fiona, what were you thinking?
It was busy. I was in a loud place. I had cancer. I could tell that she was in a bad place from the voice, and I knew that I just had to take this on. I had to own it. So I told her, you know, it's not that serious. Where are you? She told me. Who are you with? She mentioned the name. I said, you just keep doing what you're doing. We'll figure this out tomorrow. Don't tell anybody else. I think I told her,
Yes.
don't tell anybody else.
Yeah.
Because I kept thinking to myself, okay, she did the first surgery. We didn't take it seriously. And now someone is saying she has cancer. You know when you hear that word, you're thinking a tombstone. Immediately. And I realized at that point, that's when we all needed to figure out what was going on. And then that's when you start thinking second opinion, third opinion, fourth opinion. You don't just take information like that and make a decision.
So did you get second, third, fourth opinions?
Oh yes, yes. The next morning we woke up very early, and I told her, don't tell your mother. Nobody should know. We got this, just the three of us with Carol. So the next morning we made a couple of phone calls to doctors we know, and we started getting these appointments lined out because we needed to hear this from different people. I mean, after the first operation and the way it was taken so casually, you're not taking any chances at that point. And when someone tells you you're going to do a mastectomy, before
that's
even
serious.
giving you other options or telling you how serious it is, that's when you realize we all have to put our thinking caps on and understand what we're dealing with first.
So you got the second opinion, and they said,
Second, third, fourth.
Yeah, I saw a lot of doctors that first week.
so at what point did it actually hit you, and this is the reality of it?
When I saw the first doctor, the very next morning, where at the first appointment, it's actually a blessing that the first appointment I had was with Dr. Fred Okuku. He's an oncologist at Mulago, but he sits in private hospitals on weekends and some evenings. So I went to see him, and it was such a difference from the doctor I'd seen the previous day, because he gets the results and he's like, oh, Linda, you know, this is going to disorganize you for a while, but don't worry, it's okay, you'll be fine. Just a little while, you'll just be disorganized for a short while. And I'm like, okay, it's like malaria, you know, after a short while I'll be okay. So
You're a malaria survivor.
yes, because I've been there.
Okay, I'm going to take a break right now, and we'll be right back to listen to the rest of Linda's story.
We offer professional barber, hairdressing at Lugogo Mall, Garden City, Forest Mall, Oasis Mall, and Acacia Mall. Sparkle Salon, professional, affordable, and quality services.
Welcome back. We're coming to you from the Serena Conference Center, Nile Room. So you went to Dr.
Fred Okuku.
Okay, and
And he just explained the different things I would need to be aware of. He did explain the potential need to have a mastectomy, but he also explained that in some cases it wouldn't be necessary. So it would depend on, let's say, breast to tumor size ratio, or how big the tumor was. And he also recommended a hospital in Nairobi that could do a frozen section pathology type of surgery, where they test the tissue while the surgery is going on.
okay, but they'd already taken out the lump.
Yes.
So they wanted to now cut you open again for what?
Because the lump they removed, let's say it's like this size, that tested positive on the margins for cancer. So what that means is they plucked it out, but there was still cancer in the breast.
Okay.
So what Dr. Okuku recommended was, if I could have the mastectomy if I wanted to, you know, to just get it over with and not worry about it. Or I could do the frozen section, whereby during the surgery, they keep cutting away from the area where the tissue was first removed, and they keep testing the margins of whatever it is they're removing to see if it's positive.
Okay.
So if it's negative, that's when they stop. And I was actually very glad to speak to him, because it put my mind at rest and I knew I had options. So even when I went to see other doctors that week, I was just comparing notes with what he had told me.
Were they saying the same thing, or the first thing as a doctor?
Some doctors are pro-mastectomy, I've realized, in Uganda. Others actually tell you, even if you have a mastectomy, it's not a guarantee that it won't come back in the next breast, because that's what happens sometimes.
Okay.
So you could decide to do it and it could help, but if you have an option to do something differently, then you might as well try.
Okay. So you decided to now start on the treatment.
I decided to...
At what point did you tell your family?
This was a Saturday, and actually that he put me immediately on hormonal hormonal blockers, because the type of cancer I was diagnosed with is what they call ER positive, which means the cancer feeds on estrogen. So the first thing he did was, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do, because the first step usually is surgery. And I wasn't sure what type of surgery I was going to do, when I was going to do it, if I even had the money for it. So he put me on hormonal blockers immediately, and I'm actually still on this medication. And I later on found out that it actually helped, because when they went in to do the second operation, they realized it hadn't really grown, and the surgeon attributed it to
The treatment.
that treatment.
Okay. So telling your family, tell me about that.
So we told them on Sunday.
You are together?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Easter Sunday.
it was,
Wow.
no,
Yes.
it wasn't Easter Sunday.
Yes.
It was another
The one
Sunday.
after. Oh,
Yes.
the one after.
So I had been at home for 2 days now with this news, pretending that everything's okay. And Fiona doesn't stay at home, so she said she was coming home that day, and she told the family that she had news. So nobody knows what the news is. So Sunday lunch, after Sunday lunch, we all gathered to listen to Fiona's news. Do you want to tell your news?
Yes, yes. So, well, I think I was like her first doctor. I just said she has cancer.
So everybody is sitting there?
Yes, waiting for my news. So
Okay.
I say, we call her Letitia. I say, Letitia has cancer. And the expressions on their faces said it all. One started pouring tears. Lindsay, we have another one called Lindsay, crying immediately, buckets. Mother was in shock. She said, now she's going to die. Like I told you, people imagine death. And she
Yeah.
said it, you know.
Yeah.
So we immediately said, giving them their treatment plan.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the news, but we've seen the following doctors. This is what they're recommending we do to give them the peace of mind that we have a plan.
Yeah.
We know what we're going to do about this. But what we realized after this diagnosis and telling people, not just family, friends, is when you have cancer, it's not your disease alone.
Yeah.
Everybody has it with you, and everybody rides along the bus. It's like a tour. Everybody's with you, and I must say her friends were quite amazing. I mean, from the first time she got this news to when she was doing the treatment, everybody was just there. And yeah, they're still there up to now, I guess. Huh?
I mean, they're here.
They're here,
Okay.
all of them.
So what were you thinking? She's telling your family and you're looking at their expressions, and I mean, your mom says, you
She's
know,
going to die.
you're going to die. Lindsay is pouring tears. What are you thinking?
I was just trying not to cry, to be honest. Because every time I tried to talk about it, after I'd found out, even if I knew that there was a plan, I would just get very emotional. So I just tried my very best not to cry and join the pity party.
So that's why Fiona broke the news.
Yes.
Okay. Did you think you were going to die?
Yes, I did. I actually knew I was dead, because the only image I have of people who have gone through cancer treatment, it's not good. And I mean, I'm not a very big person. So I'm like, okay, I mean, I'm already small. If I start this treatment, what will I remain with, you know? I knew it was over. So I knew I was going to die. A part of me was like, you know what, Linda, be hopeful. If you're going to get cancer, at least it's breast cancer, you know, console yourself, because it's easily treatable. Then it's stage 1, so, you know, it's not so bad. But at the same time, you think, can I deal with the treatment?
At what point did you start to keep a blog? Because I've been following the blog from a while. I think I've read most of them up to the end. I don't know where it started, but I jumped on it at some point.
It started, I'd been writing during the treatment, and And at first it was just a private journal of what I was going through. Then I decided to start the blog because I remember when I first found out, the first place I went to was the internet. And I was looking for stories of anybody who was in my situation, who had gone through what I had gone through. And for me, it was really helpful to have a whole community of women who had gone through breast cancer treatment, who had even had the mastectomy and they were fine, and they were, they were talking about it. And I realized I didn't see enough of that online from a Ugandan perspective.
Yeah.
So I decided to tell my story as the Ugandan who can talk about it.
Okay.
And I realized that there are so many people out there who are also looking for somebody to talk to or to ask questions, but they don't know who to ask. And it's a good idea to have somebody, even if it's somebody you don't know, that you can just ask different questions about the treatment or the disease.
Do you have people asking you questions about?
I do. When I started the blog, I got questions from people. I got a lot of feedback. There was a lot of support, but then there were also a lot of women who had lumps like me, and they were scared to do anything about it because that thing of you're scared to even find out. So you'd rather just leave it and, So I just started talking to these different people, just giving them recommendations of where to go for treatment, which doctors to see to even find out about what they were going through. So it was an eye-opener.
I'm betting you didn't tell them to go to the first doctor.
Of course not.
Okay. I know for a lot of women, the thought of cancer is, I'm going to also lose my hair.
Yes.
So did you have long hair before? You did. I saw a picture. So
Very nice long hair.
Okay. It's growing back though. So what was it like that period?
I think these doctors lie to us sometimes, just to help us deal with these things. Because I remember Dr. Kuku had told me, you may not even lose your hair. Some people don't lose their hair during chemo. So after first chemo, I was like, okay, when is that? Every morning I would try it, I'd wait for it to fall off, and it's not falling off. So I'm like, I think I'm one of those lucky people. I later found out it's like 3% of people who don't lose their hair.
Okay.
What are the odds, really? So I realized that my hair was falling out, I think, after the second chemo treatment, like 7 days later.
How did you realize?
I would comb my hair and it would remain on the comb. And then it would reach the point where I'm in the office and the wind is blowing and the hair starts going and coming on my clothes, and it was very flaky. It was very, very weak. And I remember once I met Fiona one evening, and she was saying, you even still have your hair. You see, it's good. Life is good. I'm like, no. And I just did this, and a chunk of hair came out. You should have seen her face.
It was quite scary. But we did have a running joke. We kept saying, if you see her hair, that means she's just passed by.
I'm really glad that you can laugh about that. You're making me laugh. And really, I feel like I shouldn't be laughing. So, cancer is hereditary for a lot of people.
Yes.
Did you ever think, maybe should I check with my family? Did you, the rest of the girls in the family, think that maybe we need to, either go get checked or take precaution or do extra stuff?
You should take this.
Like a lot of families, we all have people who have had cancer. If not from your immediate family, you have extended, or there is somebody in our families that has succumbed or is even going through treatment at the moment. So Kuku immediately said, this must be in your DNA. He recommended we all do a specific DNA test. I can't remember what it's called.
Genetic test.
Genetic test. So we thought, okay, sounds good. Write something for me to go do it. And then he weekly goes It's like 5 million Uganda shillings.
5 million.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we looked at him and thought, right, okay,
important.
We'll wait for the
let's take note. But then also, you know, you make choices. You make choices to either live in fear or, like we do, wait for it. You can test breast cancer today, but are you going to test all the others that may come?
Yeah.
We chose to just make the decision to live in the moment and just create a healthy lifestyle. Through her treatment, we all realized that it's all about what you eat.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear about this. Every day we're being told, eat healthy, drink healthy, exercise, but we just don't take it seriously.
So what have you had to give up, Linda? Have you given up anything?
I don't drink milk as much as I used to. But I still do. I'm still trying to stop drinking milk because I was told it's one of the things I should give up. Junk food, you know, because I don't gain weight. I used to eat junk food every day. It was my daily bread. But now, special occasions.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, let's take another short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. So, Linda, we want to take a question from one of your friends who has a question for you. Bernard?
Thank you very much. Bernard is my name, Mukasa. Linda, thank you very much for sharing your story. I think it's very brave. I've only known Linda through fun times, and she's this energetic person. So for me, I remember when I just got the news, I went to my desk and I played the view of her videos dancing. And I remember, but anyway, my question is, throughout your entire treatment, and you've said so well that you tried to keep it together, but there were those times which were critical, I imagine, where you were like, okay, now I can't keep it together anymore. So my question for you is, when you were at your lowest points throughout the entire treatment, what kept you going? I think that should be very important for any person in that position. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard.
I was lucky. I had my family with me. My mother, my sister was at home. They were with me all the time. And I also knew I was going to be fine. So I was like, you know what, Linda, just deal with this for as long as you can, and you will be fine.
Did you have a support group, for example, in maybe when you went for treatment, a group of people that were going through the same thing? Or did you have any?
I did not, because I'm not very good with sharing in groups. But
we're glad you're here sharing.
Miracles happen. But I talked to, it was actually Fiona, I remember, who dragged me there, a lady at the Uganda Women's Cancer Support Organization. She's called Gertrude. She's one of the first cancer survivors that I spoke to. And her perspective, because she had gone through this treatment in the 1990s, and by then things in Uganda were very different from the way they are now. And hearing how she went through it, especially through the chemo treatment, it just gave me consolation that, you know what, this is 2017. If people in 1992 went through this and they're fine because she was fine, I was like, I'm okay.
Okay. So you went to Kenya eventually for most of your treatment?
No, I only went to Kenya for the second operation because it was the closest place that could do the frozen section surgery. But I decided to do the chemotherapy here in Uganda. But I had to go back to Kenya for the radiotherapy because the machine in Uganda wasn't working at the time.
That machine.
That's why.
Did you have moments of depression, anxiety?
Not really. I didn't really have time to feel sorry for myself.
Linda is a very positive person. I must say, when her doctor put her on the treatment and then they said mapping out the plan, she told all of us she has to go on holiday first. She'd planned this holiday 12 months ago, 12 months before this diagnosis. And ordinarily you'd think, I have to stop my life, let's start the treatment, because everybody was saying it has to start now. She went on holiday before she started her treatment.
3 weeks.
3 weeks
3
holiday.
weeks holiday. So it goes to say that cancer was not ready for her.
One of the things that you mentioned in your blog, Linda, you said hard times make you realize what and who is important.
Yes.
What else did this period of your life teach you that you'd like to teach somebody else?
It taught me that you shouldn't be afraid to do the things you've always wanted to do. And at the end of the day, you are actually going to die. You know, you hear that, but you don't take it seriously. But when you are faced with death, you realize that, you know what, I could be dead tomorrow, and I'm here worried about people's opinions. And now I think I'm different in that perspective. And then I also don't take the opinions of people who used to be my friends very seriously now. So it's just helped me to be better.
Okay. Well, one of the other things that you mentioned in your blog, there's a lady who came up to you and you are talking about those conversations that Ugandans have. And so she said, is it just me or have you lost weight? I think maybe you've stopped eating.
Yes.
Oh, you were really talking about the conversations that people just throw around and they never really think about what they're saying and how it affects people.
Yes, and it's very common in Uganda. People don't realize that it's inappropriate to say certain things, and they think that just because they see you, they know you, but you don't really know what somebody's going through. It's like how people ask women why they're not having kids yet they're married for 5 years. You don't know what somebody's going through. So this person came and asked me why I was losing weight, and by then I hadn't even started the chemotherapy and I'd lost weight just because of stress. And I just hearing that made me realize that, okay, I am going to die. If someone is asking me why I've lost weight before I even start chemotherapy, it's serious. But it's actually, people shouldn't say certain things to people without knowing the situation that they're in.
I mean, when we say, how are you, do we really want to know the answer?
And you shouldn't really know the answer. Because, to be
Do you
honest.
think you love life more now or before?
Can you compare? I think she's
It's the same.
it's the same thing.
It's the same.
She's always loved life.
Oh, okay. So, what has been your silver lining in all of this?
Can there really be a silver lining?
Something to get you through, something that gave you balance and perspective.
No, I just appreciate the people around me more. That's
Your family.
my family,
Friends.
and my friends,
And work.
my work
Her
colleagues as well.
Work was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you want to tell us about how you as a family have been coping?
Wow. I think we resonate a lot more on her energy and her never give up spirit. But also as a family, we are very strong people. We don't know how to wear our emotions on our sleeves, other than those who cried buckets that day. So yeah, it has, I would like to say brought us together, but that's so cliche.
Yeah.
It hasn't really, but it's taught us that we can get through anything.
What's been the cost to all of you? Financially, physically, is that, always?
I think financial. You know, when people say cancer, it is expensive, and you need people around you to support you. Our culture is a culture of giving, which is a great thing. Her office was very supportive. They gave her financial support. They gave her time off to go through these different chemo treatments.
And you're back at the same workplace.
Yes.
How long were you away for?
I wasn't really away.
Yes, you were.
Well,
Radiotherapy, you were away.
okay, during radiotherapy, yes, I was away for about a month and a half. But during chemo, I tried to maintain my work schedule. So I'd just be off for a week, go back for 2 weeks. And they were very supportive in that regard, which was very helpful.
In total, the cost, the financial cost of it, for somebody who is is probably going to go through the same thing and they're trying to balance their books and find out, okay, where do I start from? What's an estimate that you have had to work with?
Before we answer that, there are options.
Okay.
Yes, a lot of people will tell you, run to India. Yes. You know, we went to doctors who told us, jump on a plane. India is the cheapest place. They've got the best doctors. But when we did our investigations, we did our research, even Mulago has treatment.
Yeah.
Some of it free, depending on the time you get there. We have hospitals here like Kampala Hospital where she did the chemotherapy. They also do this, and it is quite affordable. We've never done the math, but if we sum it up, maybe about 50 million.
About 50 million.
Yes.
So
And
this in a
that's-
space of how many years?
Months.
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 So this was the
5
whole of
months.
2017.
No, started from maybe June.
June,
June, because I did the surgery in June,
Okay.
late June to December.
So your last day of treatment was December 13th, 2017.
Last day of radiotherapy.
Radiotherapy.
Yes.
So did you think about recurrence?
I still think about recurrence. And I just, well, my doctor recommended I just try to live healthy, maintain a healthy lifestyle. But the fact is, it could reoccur because I've spoken to women who it did. But I can't control what's going to happen in the future. If it does, we shall deal with it.
Okay. Well, what would you say to somebody who said, Linda, I'm starting chemo?
You'll be fine. Hair is not that important.
Hey, I think I would say it differently.
What would you
It's
say?
tough. Chemo is tough. It's a tough,
But
tough animal.
you don't want to tell someone that. don't tell them.
But I think they also have a different perspective from when they're looking at you on a hospital bed and they're dealing with their own emotions and things from just seeing you there.
It was tough. You know, there were days when I would be so sick and I would even wonder, how do these women who are going through chemo have the time to sit and meditate and look so nice about it? And I didn't even know that I would walk about because I would be in bed. I wouldn't even have the strength to lift my hand. I would be nauseated. It's just horrible.
Okay. What would you like to tell anybody who's watching? We're wrapping up. Your final words. Let me start with you, Fiona. What would your final words be?
I think getting a diagnosis is not the end of the road. It's very important, especially in our environment here today. We're hearing all these stories about our medical system just being a nightmare. There are very good doctors here. We discovered that, and they're ready to help. I go back to the options are there. It's critical to ask questions, to read. We went online and we saw so many scenarios and so many treatment plans. We learned that by the time we met the doctors, we knew what we wanted to ask them. You need to have questions, but you need to have the answers before you meet these doctors. I think that's what I would say.
Just don't read on Google and self-medicate.
No, okay.
Okay.
Linda.
Linda.
Well, as someone who's been through cancer, I would just let people know that if you are dealing with someone who has the disease, you just need to support them because they're going through a lot.
What kind of support?
If they don't want to talk to you, don't talk to them. It's as simple as that. So many people don't understand that. They want to pray with you when you don't want to pray. But
They can pray for you.
let them pray for you from afar. Okay, they can come and pray with you, but you know, sometimes it's the emotions you go through are very hard to explain to people. So people just need to understand people who are going through it. And they also need to know that it's not the end of the world. I mean, I'm growing my hair back and I'm here. And there's so many other women who have gone through cancer treatment and they're fine. But then at the end of the day, there's so many people who go through it and they don't make it. So it's a serious disease, but there's hope. There's always hope.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Linda. Thank you, Fiona, for coming along and helping with the story. Well, that brings us to the end of our show for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, the show is online and you can find it on NTV Uganda's YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. NTV Weekend Edition is coming up next.
Renew your monthly basic bouquet subscription of 18,000 shillings before it expires. Then enjoy 3 free days only on StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.